Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. I'm streaming live. Today is the last day of July, July 31st, 2023. Yes, we're making it through day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. You know what they say about 2 weeks to slow the spread? The hardest part is the first 3 years. So it should be smooth sailing from here on out. Some of you have been asking me to continue to expose the evil agendas of some of these large nonprofit corporations and how they are tied into the big P companies. I'm going to call them big medicine because I don't know what's going to trigger the algorithm here. And I am going to cover that with you because I have a healthy American who has been following the horrible, horrendous, heinous, unspeakable torture and cruelty that has been inflicted upon animals in the name of medical research. I am not going to be graphic on this channel. I don't want to expose you to any images or anything other than let me just say kind of the minimum to get you to start thinking about this. I am going to expose the dirty deeds in terms of the money, how much the people are being paid at these nonprofit organizations, and how in the non-spinning world, yes, I'm going to explain that as well, is it that with all of these billions of dollars that have been raised and collected over the many, many years, that there still is not a cure for cancer. I sent this out in a Substack earlier today. I'm going to be referencing that in just a moment. And then many of you replied to that Substack and you reminded me that this kind of condition, again, I'm going to speak the truth, but I'm going to use some words that won't trigger the censors here, that this type of condition is not what it appears. And it certainly is not what mainstream medicine makes it out to be. I also want to say right from the get-go that my heart goes out to all of you who are currently experiencing this condition. If you had a loved one or you have a loved one who is experiencing this or who has undergone treatment or who has passed away, either because of the condition or because of these horrible treatments that they were most likely talked into. I also understand that there are a large number of medical professionals that follow my channel. There are MDs, there are researchers, there are people that are working for laboratories, chemists, and all of that. And I am the healthy American. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical researcher. I am a researcher in terms of reading between the lies. And this is more of an ethical concern than it is strictly a medical concern. So I look forward to all of your comments. And before we dive in, I do want to tell you about a message from the sponsor of this video. It's actually more of a product review because I want to tell you just from my own experience. Let me hop right on over. We are going over to c60evo.com/Peggy Hall. That is where you want to go to get all of the info. Here, right off the bat, you can get 10% off your next purchase when you sign up for their newsletter. And when you use my code that I'll have for you at the end of this video in the description box below, which is Peggy Hall, you will get another 10% off. Let me just, I'll show you the website, then I'm going to tell you, well, I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll show you the products that I personally use. So I have been using this for, oh my gosh, the last 3 or 4 months, maybe even longer, because I had this nerve pain that came on from all of the stress of dealing with the hog washers. And I remembered that I had the C60 Evo olive oil and coconut oil. These are edible oils. I like to add it to my coffee. And I started taking this, and it actually, in my experience, helped to accelerate that healing. I got better mental focus, mental clarity, more energy. And I actually believe that this helped with my healing. My hair, my skin, my nails are all improving as well. So let me show this to you. There are 3 potent edible oils. There is an avocado oil. There is the coconut oil. This is the one that I like. I put that in my coffee. I just do a teaspoon in the morning. This will last you for a long time. And there's a virgin olive oil as well. You can just take it, a teaspoon. You can drizzle it on a salad. And then I use this for my dog, Teddy. Now, she is a senior citizen. She is having a little bit of the slowing down, her joints and so forth, but she is acting like a puppy. She loves to go on her walks. She's walking farther than she has for some time. So I'm really happy about that. And she loves the way that it tastes. I just give her a little bit in her dog food bowl. And then hubby has been using the C60 Evo hair renewal system. You actually mix these two together to activate them in your palms, and then you just rub that on your scalp. There's a little bit of a tingly feeling, and he really is loving that. Friends, when I have a lot of people reaching out to me to sponsor their products, and I am selective about what I do, and I use everything that I tell you about. And I realize this may not be your cup of tea. You may not like to watch these sponsor messages, but this is how I'm able to bring you this information at no charge to you. I do not have a big budget. I don't have a production studio. This is just a virtual screen because I'm not always in an area where the background is suitable. I don't have anyone writing my scripts or editing my videos. It's me and my lovely assistant, Olivia. So if you ever need help, you can email her and she will reply to you at support@thehealthyamerican.org. So this is why I'm grateful for the sponsors. And I would love for you to try it out. Let me one more time just take you to the website, then we'll go on with our normal presentation. So it's c60.com/Peggy Hall. I'll leave a link for you below. If you do, there are other things like a bundled set. You get another 15% off. If you want to do a monthly subscription, it's not required, but you get 20% off that. And again, you get the 10% off at checkout plus that $10. So lots of opportunities for you to try this out. And I hope that you will. Friends, let's talk about another dark deception that is going on, and it has to do, again, with the medical field, with the researchers. Before we dive in, and I'm going to show you the Substack that this presentation is based on from one of my lovely Healthy Americans. Think about if you have a dog or a cat. And I remember being told and being warned and sort of people trying to frighten me. And by people, I mean the powers that shouldn't be and the hogwashers and the mainstream media, perhaps a well-meaning vet, magazine articles and so forth saying, never give your dog chocolate. No, I personally don't. But haven't you heard that warning again and again and again? I'll explain how this ties in just a moment. Never give your dog chocolate. Let me know in a comment. What else are you not supposed to give your dog? Avocados, onions, grapes. These are a couple of things that came to mind when I was preparing for the show. And I'm thinking to myself, how is it that avocados and chocolate can be so detrimental to a dog's health? We're told that chocolate can be fatal, yet these drug companies are inflicting heinous, torturous, cruel acts upon dogs and other animals, telling us that they are testing and trying to find the cure for cancer by inflicting and injecting cancerous cells and so forth in these animals, including dogs. That's very famous that they use dogs to do this. Yet we're told that the metabolism of a dog is completely different than a human being, that the chemistry of their blood cannot tolerate chocolate, yet some sort of drug that you're going to be testing through these cruel and inhumane animal research is somehow going to benefit humans. So no, I don't care for that. And let me also answer an objection that comes up from time to time. Peggy, you're telling me that you are not in favor of medical testing on animals that could save lives. And my answer is, no, I'm not. I am not in favor of that. Number one, I don't know if these things actually save lives. So where is your evidence that these drugs and procedures and other cocktails actually save lives? I want to see irrefutable evidence that that occurs. So that's number one. I don't have evidence that that's actually the case. Number two, what about all of the non-medical approaches to healing that are ignored, and not only ignored, that are actually squelched in the name of modern merry-go-round medicine, brought to you by the Rockefeller family? I intend on doing a deep dive. Many of you are already up to date on how Rockefeller took over the medical institutes in terms of the medical schools for training new doctors, how Rockefeller took over basically the pharmaceutical companies. And a lot of this is directly tied to the petrochemicals, I should say, I'm sorry, I don't even like to use the word fossil fuel, but petroleum products are drugs actually are petroleum products. And guess who produces oil? Yes, Rockefeller. So you can connect the clots, that's how I say it, to see that there just may be a hidden agenda behind, that's how I say it, behind all of this. And wouldn't it be horrible? And of course, on this platform, I would never, ever even insinuate that any of these companies want to keep people sick. I mean, wouldn't that be crazy? For example, and it's really far-fetched, I know, but for example, imagine that a drug company would have a drug that you could take that would have side effects that then you would have to take another drug for. And then that would have side effects and you'd have to take another drug. And before you know it, you've got a list of medications. And anytime you go in with a sprained ankle, they want you to list all of your medications. Luckily, I can say none because I do not take anything at all. I do have my watermelon water. That's very healthy for me. Just some organic watermelon in some filtered water. That keeps me healthy. So no, I don't play in that playground of the mainstream medicine at all. Let's look at what's going on with the American Cancer Society as an example of money that is spent, and it may be spent in ways that you're not approving of. And I am not telling anybody who to support, who not to support, where to send your money, but I am here as an example of doing critical thinking, of digging deeper and drawing your own conclusions based on the evidence and facts that you can find or that I'm presenting. If you are getting, at the very end, if you are getting any kind of donation request, there is a letter that my lovely Healthy American has written that you can send back to these companies if you would like to do so. So let's do this. First, I'm going to show you the Substack. I hope that you're on the Substack. Let me know in a comment below if you are a subscriber. It is free. A number of you have upgraded to a paid subscription. All content is free to all readers, but supporting me in this way really helps keep me on the air and doing these deep dives. It's peggyhall.substack.com. I've got many, many Substacks here. We'll just click on view all just to give you a little rundown. So you can see there's lots here. These are deep dives with detailed information, links. If there's something that you don't want to watch a video about, you can just click on the article instead. And this is the one that we're looking at, is exposing the stand up to cancer deception. Time to take a closer look at the dark side of the American Cancer Society. I did not write this article. I read this article. This article comes to us from Healthy American Britt Lind, who is founder of kindnessandscience.org. I will just quickly click through there and you can see it is all about she's got information about these disease organizations, as she calls them, Alzheimer's Association, many others that she exposes, dangerous drugs. She is a prolific writer. She has written novels that you can read as well. And so the mission here at Kindness and Science in Action is defending health, freedom, animals, and the environment. It's to expose the fraud and cruelty of animal experimentation and the corruption of these large industries. And then her goal is to educate the public about their negative impact on health. Now, I'm just going to read to you a few of the highlights. I will leave a link for you so that you can have, actually, I won't leave a link. I'll leave a link to the Substack where you can subscribe. Oh, I'll just leave a link to the article. It'll be easier. So here's what's happening. On August 19th, and you may have seen this if you are on social media or TV, I don't even know where it's playing these days, but there is this Stand Up to Cancer campaign. So I'll read to you what Britt describes. On August 19th, 2023 coming up, one of the worst travesties regarding cancer and one of the most tragic events for animals trapped in vivisection labs, that's the animal experimentation, will take place. On that date, at least 30 channels will again broadcast internationally a yearly telecast that garners millions of dollars and there's a couple of different organizations that I'm going to read to you that are getting this money. The entertainment foundations Stand Up to Cancer. That was set up in 2008 to dole out money to these animal researchers. And it's not research. It's actually cruel and tortuous testing, and more than testing, it's experimentation. So before I go any further, I wanted to follow up on my previous comment, which is, number one, I'm not convinced that any of these experiments that are done on animals have any use for human beings. Because of what I talked about, our chemistry and everything is different. Number two, there are so many of these experiments that are going on that are redundant, that have already been done. And what happens is these researchers, these torturers, will get grants to carry out this. And these experiments are not really overseen or regulated. And so they're doing it for the money. And some of them are just sadistic, cruel, evil demons. All right. And they get their rocks off by torturing animals. So that's another thing. How do we even know that what they're doing has any impact at all? All right. Number three, as I mentioned, I guess earlier, that there are non-medical approaches to healing. And there are plenty of people, I'm not an expert on this. There are plenty of people that have probably been kicked off from YouTube, that have been maligned, that have been censored when they come out with their protocols for healing the body. I'll just put it that way. So there are other alternatives than animal research. Now, if an individual, an adult who is of sound mind, wants to participate in taking some kind of drugs or undergoing some kind of experimental, operation or procedure, go for it. I have no problem whatsoever if an individual chooses to do that. I have all of the objection to subjecting innocent animals and innocent children. In the coming days, I am going to be exposing also these pediatric clinical trials that Junior is all in favor of. And he said it in his own words. It's so funny. There's still a couple of naysayers out there that think I'm twisting his words when it's his own words coming out of his mouth. That's sad. And I will pray for them that their fear will recede and that they will be able to read between the lies, because there are a lot of lies being spewed. So no, I am not in favor of childhood types of clinical trials. I am not in favor of any innocent individual being subjected to this, or any innocent animal. So there are other ways of conducting the research that do not include torturing animals. And I will never vary from that position. That's my position. Okay. She goes on to write, the countless number of animals who must suffer and die because of the ignorance of the founders, Katie Couric, Laura Ziskin, I have no idea who that is, Sherry Lansing was from the entertainment industry, I think, and others can only be guessed at. The American Association for Cancer Research decides who gets the money from the telecast. The founders said, when they launched Stand Up to Cancer, that they want new therapies to get to patients as soon as possible. All right. That was 15 years ago. 15 years later, right, from 2008 until now, millions of dead animals later, where are the new therapies? As far as I can tell, they're still doing the same old ones that really don't seem to do very much other than inflict more harm on the human beings. So what is this, the new therapies are coming soon, hasn't happened. I mean, right off the bat, do you trust anything that comes out of these organizations? Do you really trust anything that comes out of these massively huge, gigantic, nonprofit organizations? I'm going to share with you how much money their top people are making. I have no problem with people making money. I hope people make as much money as they can and that they spend it the way that they want to, because that's how the economy goes. I have no issue with that. I do have an issue with people making in the millions of dollars when it comes to a non-profit organization that most people think those people are working at a, let's just say, a nominal fee or a nominal amount of pay, and that money that has been donated to pay for this research is not going to line their pockets. That I have a problem with. So here we go. $110 million is what Stand Up to Cancer has. $110 million. Their total revenue, okay, this is the most recent we have in 2021, was $100,000. Their executives, $100 million. Their executives all earn in the six figures. And there are plenty of celebrities that all flock to this. You can read about that. But what bothers Britt, who wrote this article, and what bothers me is the whole concept of standing up. I'll just call it C to C. Like, I'm not even sure about that phrase. It's not something that you stand up to, as my friend describes. It's a symptom of a toxic body, these are her words, that needs to be detoxed and brought back into balance so it can heal. I just got an email from a doctor in Northern California who read the Substack. Again, the link I will have for you below. And he said, Peggy, you're absolutely right. Your author is absolutely right. There are ways that the body is trying to eliminate the toxic debris in the cell. And again, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not speaking from medical terms, but could it just be that everything that we've been told about all of these types of diseases, isn't it time to rethink this and to dig deeper and to think back when Rockefeller started taking over the medical hospitals, the medical training centers, medicine, and so forth? The idea was to eliminate I just want to call them traditional medicine or traditional remedies that had been used. So if anything, it seems like the C is just exploding, especially now after the cooties cocktail. Again, I certainly can't point fingers at anybody, but wouldn't it be horrible if the powers that shouldn't be and those that are in the medical field, the medical companies, that they're coming out with these types of cootie cocktails that then are going to cause other conditions that then can be treated with other drugs that they're coming out with? That's what I mean about the medical merry-go-round. You get on that merry-go-round, I don't think you can really get off very easily, but I hope that you will. So here are some facts about the American Cancer Society. That's another sponsor of Stand Up to Cancer. Britt writes, how can anyone, including the celebrities who never question any of the claims made by these disease organizations, turn a blind eye to the countless animals that are harmed, believing that the cancer researchers give a hoot about, well, there I said the word, about the cures? If they did, they would make it clear that these so-called cures are already here and available for everyone. But where is that? There's no money in that. There's no money in the cure, is there? There's only money in the merry-go-round. So here are some facts. The American Cancer Society was founded in 1913, right? Over 100 years old, by 10 doctors and 5 businessmen. And it was called the American Society for the Control of Cancer. Rockefeller, who had the monopoly on petrochemicals, used his money and power to destroy alternative medicine and provided the initial funding for, I know I'm shouting here, for this new group. So the money for the American Cancer Society came from Mr. R. His drug-based medicine was well on its way to becoming the norm and influenced politicians to pass laws that made recommending natural means of healing by a holistic doctor a criminal act. In 1936, there was a woman called Marjorie Illig, and she was a volunteer for the American Cancer Society, decided to wage a war on cancer, and that's when the donations started. The group was renamed in 1945 as the American Cancer Society, and there was a $4 million fundraising campaign to form a research program that began the onslaught of the animal torture. Over $5 billion have been spent on this kind of non-research since 1945. The American Cancer Society has net assets of $1.2 billion. It raises between $600 to $700 million annually, and they spend $100 million of that on their fundraising. That's weird. That's just very strange to me. Here are the salaries of their top executives. Karen Knutson, CEO, earns $914,000 in yearly salary. What say you? How do you like them apples? For a nonprofit organization. The former CEO earned $1 million, including with other benefits and so forth, including his base salary of $700,000. That was up until 2021. All 12 top executives earn six-figure salaries. Now, here's what's interesting. The Cat Dog Cat announced in 2022 that the overall C rate has fallen by a third, mainly because of a decrease in lung cancer. And that's because more people have stopped smoking. That is what the research shows. But the American Cancer Society takes credit for that, saying that their toxic protocols, their surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, that all of that is doing the trick. And again, if you are undergoing something like that, if you have a loved one who is doing that, my prayers are with you that you are going to find the exact right type of healing that is not going to include further trauma on the body. I'll leave it that way. I'm not giving any medical advice here whatsoever. C is still the leading cause of death in the United States, and lung cancer has 21% of those deaths. All right. After 78 years of research with their $1.5 billion, which they still have, the American Cancer Society has found no cure. People are still dying. Not only that, but they have fought against prevention of this disease, including opposing regulations for different types of limits on actual toxic products, such as hair coloring products. They did not support the Clean Air Act in 1978. They refused to support stopping the usage of organochlorine pesticides that have been implicated in breast cancer. In 1993, they attacked a frontline report on PBS that exposed the dangers of pesticides. Why would they be against that type of information unless it would have their donations dry up? For years, they even refused to acknowledge that smoking causes cancer, but they were forced to admit the truth after overwhelming public pressure. They avoid discussing toxic drugs and environmental factors that can cause this because they are, how does the expression go? In bed with all of those other big medical companies that you probably know the name of and the names of. These companies make multi-million dollar contributions to the American Cancer Society. Isn't that interesting? How convenient. The American Cancer Society spends $166 million a year on discovery to try to determine what causes this. But they ignore the fact that pesticides, drugs, cosmetics, x-rays, mammograms, 5G towers, industrial pollutants, contaminants, and more are known to cause this. So they do spend about $46 million a year lobbying in Congress to convince politicians and government agencies to give them bigger grants for their animal torture. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say research. That's what I meant to say. So I will have a link for you, friends, if you would like to read more. They try to defend their heinous acts on animals in their laboratories, saying, well, there are no other alternatives that exist. Well, can't you do computer models? As I say, can't you have others that want to volunteer to be tested on? There is so much cruelty that is involved, not only on animals, but of course on human beings. So my friend Britt writes, researchers know that experiments on animals cannot be extrapolated to humans because of the differences in physiology, metabolism, biochemistry, genetics, diet, and the environment. They know that there are numerous state-of-the-art non-animal techniques for testing any drug, chemical, or compound that can accurately be applied to humans. Those are all available. And they know that these other protocols that they promote do not prevent or even cure the disease that they say they do. What I want to do is skip ahead a little bit. And my lovely Britt sums up by saying, the honest answer is that only the immune system can heal the human body. And so you need to support your immune system. And of course, all of the protocols that we were told about during the hog washing actually suppressed the immune system, like reducing your oxygen intake, keeping you inside and outside from sunlight, preventing you from having social interactions, probably staying home, eating junk food instead of exercising and being outside. So it was the exact wrong thing for your immune system. So I will have a link for you below, friends. The last thing I want to show you, as I promised at the beginning of this presentation, was that if you get a donation request from one of these disease organizations, as Britt calls them, here is an insert that you can send back to them. And I will show that to you. And there is a link in the Substack, and I'm going to take you right over now. And it is titled, Why I Will Not Donate to Your Organization. And I'm going to read to you this. And again, you can go print it out, send it back if that's something you want to do. It will not be possible for me to donate to your organization because you experiment on animals. Animal experimentation, known as a vivisection, cannot be extrapolated to human beings because of differences in physiology, metabolism, genetics, biochemistry, diet, and the environment. It's not funny, but she's saying it like it is. It is pseudoscience. It does not work, and it is perpetuated because it is a $1 billion a year industry. For disease organizations like yours, it is an excuse to raise money for supposed cures that never come. And it makes money from dangerous, useless, I'll just use the word protocols. Your executives enrich themselves while animals are being brutalized by the psychopaths who work in your vivisection laboratories. The Animal Welfare Act does not protect animals in these vivisection labs. The vivisectors themselves get to decide what is and isn't painful. In their opinion, nothing is too painful for the animals to endure. Vivisection must be abolished for the sake of human health and for the sake of animals who are forced to suffer the torments of hell until they die. People who work for disease organizations and turn a blind eye to animal experimentation perpetrated by their organizations are as guilty of torturing them as the psychopaths who do the grisly work of tormenting them. Those are the words of my healthy American, Britt Lind, and I applaud her. She has been in this field of exposing the heinous crimes for a very long time. It is very demanding, soul-wrenching work. So my prayers are with her and all of you who will stand up against these, as she calls them, disease organizations. Also, I would recommend check your investments. Are you investing in these companies? Are you helping to enrich their pockets? In past videos over the last few years, I've spoken about my experience with the Humane Society of the United States. This is not a government organization. It just has that name. It bought the name. It uses that name. It has nothing to do with the United States other than it probably does get grants. And I saw with my own eyes how absolutely catastrophic their disorganization is. They were unable to carry out animal rescue work while we volunteers coming from every corner of the United States during Hurricane Katrina, we were doing the hard work while they were messing things up because they were so disorganized. Yet people send their organizations to these massive, for example, humane the Humane Society is another one. They do very, very, very little work of actually helping the animals. I send my money to local groups, to people that I actually know who are doing the work, boots on the ground. I have a video sometime back I will endeavor to link up for you here about the groups that I support, where I send my money, people that I respect and that I trust. I do not send donations to large organizations that already have millions and millions and millions of dollars, and millions of those dollars are going to the CEOs. I'm sending money to people that are living out of their van trying to get animals off the street so they don't get hit by a car. So I know I'm ranting a little bit, but this is something that is very important to me, and it's all related and mixed up in the mainstream medical merry-go-round. There are so many avenues of evil that these companies and organizations are involved in. And I realize that sometimes we're just plucking off a leaf and plucking off a branch, and we really do want to get to the root of the problem and uproot that tree of evil. So you have a couple of things that you can do right now. Number one, check to see if you are investing in any of those organizations. Number two, where are you sending your donations? Is this an organization that you can trust? Number three, if you are getting requests for donations and you feel the way that I just expressed myself, you can use that insert and send it back. And you're going to say, Peggy, what difference does it make? Nobody's going to read that. You don't know that. There may be a volunteer who has no idea what is going on behind the scenes, and they're going to open up that envelope looking for a check. And here they see this insert, and they're going to read it out of curiosity. And my prayer is that a seed is going to be planted for them to say, I had no idea. I'm going to dig into this further. And that is how we get the ball rolling. So those are a couple of things that you can do. Thank you, everybody, for being on board. I will take a look at your comments. And actually, let's just do that now. And I want to thank the, you know what? I am not, let me refresh my screen. For some reason, I am not seeing here we go. There's our live chat. I love my Healthy American audience, and I really love my moderators. We've got Valerie Rogers, Rhonda Hamilton, those of you that are here with us Monday through Friday for the live streams, I know that you appreciate their work of keeping the stream flowing, sharing links, answering questions. They do this as volunteers. We're not making the millions of dollars and in salary and so forth. These people are doing it out of their commitment to truth, to freedom, and to our constitutional republic. So a big round of applause for our moderators. And I really appreciate all of your comments. And there is so much to dig in to this. And I will say that for the first 3 years, I really did not talk very much at all about the cocktails other than how to avoid them. I was not interested what was in them. I didn't really care about all of the other. When I say I didn't care, what I mean is it didn't matter to me, the side effects, because I wasn't going to do it anyway. So I already knew that I am never going to take a cocktail. I am not going to become a human pincushion. I have an immune system that was given to me by God. And if he sees fit to have it not run properly or whatever, he sees fit to do so. We all are going to die one day or another, friends. And I certainly am not going to become a human pincushion with all of these experimental cocktails. So for me, I didn't care what was in it or what the side effects were in terms of informing my choice. But so many of you have asked me to cover more information about this, about the medical company, about Junior, right, candidate Kennedy, about his stance, which is not anti-jab. He actually has said that many, many, many times. And so it's important that we are educated in terms of what our those who are prominent in the freedom field, if I can call it that, what they really believe. And we know, because the companies themselves have said it, that there's no such thing as a safe cocktail. So why in the world would we, this ties right into what I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, why would we have this clarion call, this over and over drumbeat of safety testing, safety testing, safety testing, for more innocent animals to be tortured, for more of these medical companies to line their pockets? It doesn't make sense to me. The companies themselves have said they are unavoidably unsafe. So you're going to wave your magic wand, if you believe in magic, to suddenly find some of these cocktails that are safe? Exactly how many children are going to be harmed in the safety testing of the childhood cocktails? No supporters of Junior want to answer that question. The answer comes back, well, he doesn't really mean it. He's only saying that. That doesn't trouble you that your candidate says things that he doesn't mean and that he's only saying it? I mean, I don't know which is more troublesome, the inconsistencies of saying two things of the same issue, two sides of the same issue, or the fact that he actually doesn't believe it and says it. Both of those are troubling to me. So I'm never going to stop talking about that. We've got a long campaign ahead of us, and many of you have asked me to talk about the other candidates. The reason why I have not spoken about the other candidates is because, as far as I can see, none of them have held themselves out to be leaders in the freedom movement. So if any of them have said that they have an entire website and movement and millions in donations to stop these childhood cocktails, but then onto the other side say, well, I actually am in favor of them. I'm just in favor of safe ones. And I think we need safer ones. I'm going to point that out. But as far as I can see, candidate T, he was always in favor of them. So no, there's no inconsistency there. And some of you wanted me to speak about Vivek and others. I'm really not here to speak politics per se. I'm here to talk about the healthy American staying healthy, speaking about health freedom. So if there are things that come up, like I did do an expose on DeSantis, because and I will link that for you as well. In fact, I may even replay that video for you on this channel. I think it's important. He came out saying, I'm going to appoint an entire public health panel so that we don't just have one health officer looking at the recommendations from the cat, dog, cat and the WHO. I don't think he said WHO. He said, I'm going to have a complete panel of doctors, and here they are. Well, I exposed who those doctors were. And I think every single one, or maybe nearly all of them, were pro-jab. So yeah, I exposed that as well. I exposed the inconsistencies. I want to help you read between the lies. All right, friends, that's what I've got for you today. A big round of applause to Britt Lind. I hope that you will check out her website and support her work. I have shared her writings on my Substack before. So that would be your other action step, is to subscribe to the Substack for free. And if you're able to afford a paid donation, speaking of donations, a paid subscription, that also helps me do my work. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you don't have a penny to spend, please do not send me a penny. Your support of being online, of sharing the videos, of standing up for yourself, that is far more important to me than any donation. God will provide, He always has, and I look to Him for my direction, my protection, and my peace. And I pray the same for you. All right, friends, that's it for today. I will be back with you same time tomorrow, and we are going to talk about the cat, dog, cat and their plans for potentially an annual pincushion requirement. Yeah, no, I don't like them apples at all. All right, friends.